The Polymega was first introduced nearly 4 years ago when it was called the Retro Blocks. Some people at that time, they were saying this could be a possible game changer. But since then, there's been a lot that has happened. A name change, delays, some more delays, and a little bit more delays. FPGA no longer being used for the system, and also plenty of drama. Oh yes, plenty of it. Many people put their money down, and they've been waiting for a long time for this thing. It missed its latest release date of mid-November. Now it's being delayed into early 2021, according to the latest update on the Polymega website. Now, if you're not familiar with the Polymega, it's an emulation-based retro console that plays original game media via its disc slot for consoles like the PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, TurboGrafx-16, and Sega CD. Also, it allows you to play cartridges for systems like Super Nintendo, NES, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx-16 Hue cards, and this is done via additional modules that have to be purchased separately. All those systems, region-free, you could play any region you want. So the base unit that we're looking at here today, it's by no means cheap. It's priced very close to what a next-gen console goes for at retail, so if you could find one anyway. So who is the Polymega for? How does it perform? I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there. So before we begin, I must mention I did receive this, for purpose of review, but also the main thing to note is that this is not the final production version of the Polymega. Many others have been participating in a beta test to help the company iron out issues, test things, and just ensure everything runs smooth for the final product. So they produced so many sample units for that purpose, and I wound up getting one for purpose of review. So the firmware and the complete features shown in my video today may not be exactly the same as when the product finally launches, but for the most part, what I show here today should give a good idea of what to expect. So what I wanted to do in this review is show what the system is capable of, or at least the system I received, what it's capable of in its current form. Now, I don't have any of the modules to play cartridge-based systems, but I am going to be testing out a bunch of disc-based systems. And before we jump into all that, there is pre-installed games on here, so we can test out the emulators for Super Nintendo, NES, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, one of the big things I know people have been asking or been curious about is, yes, you can use burned CDs on this system. I've burned a ton of PlayStation 1 games, Sega Saturn games, and some PC Engine CD games and tested it out, and it works just fine. You got to make sure you're burning them properly, but a good part of the games that I've installed on this system have been original discs for a few different systems. So I just wanted to point that out. You could play the games directly off of the disc, or you can install them onto the memory on the system, or you can use external memory like an M.2 SSD, micro SD card, USB drive, that kind of thing. I've been using a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. I've installed quite a few games and I still have a lot of space, so that's nice. Okay, so we got the system booted up and I just want to showcase the user interface, some of the features, and test out games for the various consoles that the Polymega supports. So I've spent quite a bit of time with this console over the past few days and actually enjoyed it to an extent. Now, I do have options though to play all the systems this system supports, but I don't have a ton of physical disc-based games to try on it, as I have gone the route of optical disc emulators for all my consoles that have that as an option, but I did wind up borrowing a bunch, and I do mean a bunch, of Sega Saturn games from my friend G-Rolla, as I know Sega Saturn is one of the more interesting consoles that the Polymega supports, and it's had a history of not being emulated very well on various devices. Now, also, like I stated earlier, I did burn a lot of games as well on the CDs to test for various systems, so we got it covered. But this does lead me to one thing I know a lot of people are going to ask about, and I had a ton of interest in trying to find out. Can we just easily add ROMs to an external drive and load them on the Polymega easily? And the current answer is a big no. When you install a legit or burned copy of a game, it gets stored with a code name, probably based off of an entry in the database in the operating system. And it also uses like a proprietary file extension like RBRX, RetroBlocks. I don't know. It's got a weird extension, and I just have not been able to figure it out with everything I've tested and tried to do. But I am sure once this is in the public's hands, it'll be figured out pretty damn quick how to easily add ROMs. Everything can and will be hacked given time, just the way it goes. So just wanted to get that covered. So as you have seen, the user interface, it's very fluid. All your games that are either pre-installed, you installed yourself, or have previously played are organized very well. You also have a section for each console to look through your games. The UI is clean, maybe not crazy intuitive, but it works well. Once you select a game, you can also look through other games from that publisher through the included database, which I think is a nice feature to have. May help you find some games you may be interested in playing, maybe some hidden gems. What? You may have also noticed through some of my selections that it is displaying the PlayStation buttons. You may be saying, what? I think this is actually a very nice feature. So depending on the controller you use, the system will display its buttons, making things easier to navigate and not confusing you. Some controllers that I know that work with the system are the PlayStation Classic wired USB controller, heck yes, the Neo Geo X arcade stick, and the official Sega Retrobit Genesis and Saturn controllers, both wired or wireless version. This is a good thing, as the included controller, I feel, is average at best. The D-pad doesn't feel good. The buttons are mushy. Some people may be fine with it, but in reality, it's just an older GameSir controller that wasn't great some years ago when it came out, and it isn't great now. I do wish they would have went with, like, if they were going to stay with GameSir, they would have liked if they went with something more recent from them, or maybe like worked on making something new. I don't know. But yeah, the included controller is not great by any means. Also, as this is an emulation device, it does have most of the features that you'd expect. Save states for all your games, aspect ratio options, all that good stuff. And you also get scanline options. I'm usually not a fan of scanlines on emulated games, but I have seen it done well in the past, for sure. On the Polymega, I don't like the scanlines. Not with any of the options included. I just don't like the way they look. That may be subjective, but I feel the way they're implemented really hurts the picture quality more so than bringing back any kind of nostalgia of playing on an old CRT screen. So the options, you have to adjust them. The way they have it set up, I wish it was a bit more intuitive. Maybe an option screen that you select each parameter through instead of having to select an option, then pressing next to go to the following one. I just don't like the way it works. It's kind of confusing. I mean, it works, but it could have been implemented a little better, I think. Now, as far as how the games run, I have absolutely nothing to complain about. If all you want is the Polymega to emulate your physical collection of games well, then it delivers, for sure. I'm not experiencing any additional latency that I could perceive with controls, no glitches or sound issues. Everything has been performing beautifully well. The biggest console, as I've said, people have interest in on this console is the Sega Saturn, and it performs great. I've played a ton of Saturn on this system, had no issues. I'm always like, and I've said this before, like if a system doesn't emulate a game well, I get like pulled out of the experience, and I just don't want to bother with it. Like Nintendo 64 on the RetroPie, that kind of thing. It just doesn't play well, or there's minor glitches. I'm done. I want it to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? And there's no issues going on here. Like I play the game, I'm in it. I'm not experiencing anything to pull me out of it. So far, my time with the Polymega, it's been good. I can't complain about my experience at all. I mean, if I had an issue, I would let you guys know, and I'm not having anything. You know, I also have to state, I obviously know there are cheaper alternatives to accomplishing the same or similar thing that this system does. That's a given. It shouldn't have to be stated, but there is a market for this device. I recognize that. There are people who see the value in what it offers. That's for the individuals to decide, not for me to push any kind of agenda on you. Like, oh, I prefer to play this way, so that's the only way to do it. Nah, y'all know me. I ain't like that.
If I have an issue with it, I'll tell you, but I'm not having any issues with the way this thing performs. Just understand, it may not be for everyone, with the price, all that good stuff, right? Some people, they're willing to pay for that convenience when it comes to price. A console that they could simply plug in, not have to tinker with. Some may be interested in tinkering and, the DIY aspect and saving money, because for sure you can save money doing it yourself. But either way, there are options out there, for any which way you want to do it. I'm not going to judge how you want to play. If you ordered the Polymega, I seriously hope you get it soon and it delivers beyond your expectations. I hope it makes all your dreams come true, right? So one person I have to give a shout out to is Sarumaru. He's extensively covered the Polymega, and he actually, wound up getting me a bit more interested in it with all the coverage he's done. It really appears to suit his needs, which I think is what the target market is. People who have a large collection of games and want a convenient way to play most of them on one system. If you want to see more testing and all sorts of craziness, go check out Sarumaru. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. I'll also continue doing content testing the Polymega out. I look forward to hearing, any of your guys' suggestions as far as what you want to see in a future video. So, hey, drop those comments down below, right? Also, if you're interested in the Polymega and you're in Europe, don't want to pay them crazy-ass import taxes that are imposed on gaming devices shipped from the U.S. nowadays, go check out Worldwide Distribution. They're an official distributor for many companies, including Polymega, SNK, Hyperkin, Arcade 1UP, and Mo. They played a big role in getting the Polymega sent to me, having Polymega send me the sample, as I did have a lot of conversations with Polymega in the past concerning opportunities to either go out and test it or get a review unit. It just didn't work out for one reason or another. Worldwide Distribution, they put in the word, get this guy a unit to review, and they sent it. So mucho appreciation. Check them out. So let me know what you think down below. Really do appreciate it. And with that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye!